if you're saying, I want to be a filmmaker, so what are you doing to do that?
Right.
And the answer is typically, I got a script I've been working on for 4 years. They'll say, no, like, what are you doing like right now? The answer is typically nothing. You want someone to take you seriously, you have to be disciplined. Like, show up and do the work.
What is the one thing you could say to your younger self with where you are now?
When I was in high school, was like, I'm just going to get famous on YouTube. Easy, right? Someone's going to discover me there. It's tough. Like, even like last night, it was a shoot we did. It was a passion project shoot.
Yes.
And it, beat me down. Even when it's so tough, like, man, I'm so glad I get to do this.
Do you feel happy with the type of leader that you are now, or are you still looking for improvement?
My immediate answer was no. The gift and the curse with this industry is you're never good enough. You're never there. You get better. Okay, so you're doing this, right?
Yes.
So your status quo, what you deem as passable, also does this. So it creates this paradox that you're not getting any better. What you deem as passable and good is also rising at the same level that you're getting better at. So you're like, this sucks. I suck at this all the time.
Everything that you've worked for is always going to lead to somewhere.
Go support your creative friends and your artists. That is the only way arts can grow, is if you show up and show people that there's a demand for it. If you don't go, then it doesn't exist. Art exists, and what we do exists because people choose to go. If you're a filmmaker, people buy tickets to go see those movies, right? If they don't buy those tickets, then it doesn't happen.
Welcome back to another episode of Hidden Record, guys. My name is Kino. I'm not going to do my socials. It's just there. It's in my description, okay? I'm not going to spend 30 seconds talking about my Instagram. But we will spend the next 30 seconds on...
Hello, my name is Chris Jadallah. I own Calliope Films. I've been doing sketch comedy for over 10 years with Kitty Get a Job, and a bunch of other stuff here in the community in Pensacola, trying to elevate film and video production in the area.
Guys, we're going to learn a lot of banger tips about film. No pressure, okay? No pressure. You heard a little bit about Jim. Now we're going to dive into film. So, Chris, tell us, on your deepest, darkest night, on the day that you were put on Earth, what is your mission in life?
For some reason, I always come to the idea that my purpose is... It's kind of, I have like a dual purpose. I think one of the things I always preach, that something that really makes me feel good about what I'm doing, is I like helping get other people where they want to be. Yeah. Or, at least helping give them the tools to get where they need to be. I know how hard it is to want to do something like this. It's really hard, especially really hard in this area. This area does not really provide enough opportunity to make it a career for a lot of people. So I think people get disheartened. And I hate to see that, because I know how bad it feels to like want to do something and not be able to do it. It breaks my heart for people. So I try to help people get where they want to be.
Okay.
And also I feel like I am put here to do something positive with video, whether that's share people's stories or try to use my video for a greater purpose than me. Understanding that what I do is bigger than me. And that's huge. You have to understand the power of video. It's I'm doing some social media content, and I'm about to do a video about this.
Calliope Corners, guys.
Yeah, check it out. But it's with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh my gosh.
The Uncle Ben quote.
Are you a big fan of Spider-Man?
I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man.
Wait,
Spider-Man 1.
Tobey Maguire, Andrew, or Tom Holland? Which one?
Oh my God! Honestly, they were all so lovely. I don't like the beef between them all. I think they're all so good. I think for the longest time before Marvel stepped up, Spider-Man 2 was the best comic book movie ever made.
From Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, the Doc Ock one. That was the best.
Agreed.
Until Iron Man, that was the best superhero movie.
What? You actually thought Iron Man was better than Spider-Man 2?
I think so. But even though it's tough, I recently I need to rewatch Iron Man. But I recently rewatched Spider-Man 2, and it held up. It wasn't as strong as I remember, because Marvel has done such wonderful things with their universe. But Spider-Man 2 was like, man, that was such a good one. To have the hero, or to have a villain you felt for. Like what a cool concept. So now I really like that one. But what I was saying is, a good video can change someone's mind. So you have to be careful with what you're doing with that. There's a lot of misinformation, and if you make a video that does something that has a negative impact, whether you meant to or not, it can be scary. So just understanding the power of what you do and understand that it's bigger than you.
Damn. Okay, now we're gonna pivot into the analogy of Tom Holland with Tony Stark. Now, let's apply that, the dynamic between the two. Now we're gonna take a few steps back into your earlier life. You're like the little Tom Holland, and now you found Tony Stark. That's his mentor. Who was that mentor for you when you said? Because the thing that you mentioned about how you said you want to help people. How did that mindset come to you at an earlier age into where you are now, and who was that mentor that really opened up your eyes to that?
I think the root of it came from daddy issues. Not having that figure in my life.
Okay.
I guess I never wanted anyone to feel like that. So having someone believe in you and say, hey, you know what, you can do this. That was important to me from the get. That was important to me. I used to think I wanted to be a dad, and now I don't think I do.
What?
But it was because of that. I feel like I just want to help other people when I can. But no, one of my first great mentors he was our DP for the shoot yesterday. Since I was in front of the camera, I couldn't be behind it. We make a rule that if I'm going to be on camera, and my lovely director, Sierra Hobbs, who is...
Thank you for everything you do, Sierra.
Thank you, Sierra. She's a producer at Calliope Films, but she's also my partner in life, and I feel so lucky to get to work with her. It's a privilege. But she was our director, and Dane was one of my first mentors. Taught me what a softbox was. Taught me, how to light for the first time. Where to put the lights. And that was huge. Before I'd met him, I'd never set up a light truly before. And he opened my eyes to a lot of things for sure. So I credit him as being my first great mentor and someone who gave me a shot when I did not deserve it. I say did not deserve. I was not qualified for. Perhaps I deserved it, but I did not have the qualifications to be on set. But he let me on set and let me carry around his very heavy cases, and that's how it started. And he was huge.
Wow, we got a lot to unpack here, guys. All right, this is about to get crazy now. So grab your popcorn and soda. No alcohol here, okay? Popcorn and soda. Maybe preferably some healthy juices. But you just said a lot of things here we got to unpack. Okay.
Oh, God.
Okay. I actually, one of the things when I actually went to your website, when I saw that Sierra Hobbs and was there, and then now that you mentioned that she was your partner in life, that's actually really very rare. And how I see it is that a lot of people don't get many opportunities to have a partner in life where they can have a world where they can share and make memories with together. How did that come about? How did you work together to get some understandings and some boundaries set that whatever it is that you guys love to do in film, you always want to make sure that you're protecting your life outside of that. So how did that work out?
You're a wonderful interviewer, by the way. You're very good at this.
Don't forget to leave the Google review. Don't forget to leave the Google review.
I will. He's great. This guy knows what he's doing. I like the way you talk. So it was very difficult. And in the beginning, it was challenging. We almost had to say, all right, I'm talking to you as your boss, as your coworker, and then I'm talking to you as your spouse. We had to have those talks. Now I don't know if the line is just more blurry or if we've just gotten better at it.
Yeah.
But no, she cares about it. I mean, it is it's not only it is our livelihood. We both are taken care of by this company that we have now created and made something more. So it takes care of us. So and then the other thing is people say all the time, business is not personal. Business is personal. I don't care what you do.
Really?
Business is personal. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's your livelihood. It's your food on the table.
Yeah.
If you don't, if for some reason, if somebody, goes after one of your clients or something, they're getting in between you and your food and your bread. And then especially what we do, like what I do, I don't think business gets more personal than what I do, unless you're, a doctor or a nurse or working in a retirement facility. Like that's personal. That's your job, but that's personal. And we tell stories. I mean, we interview, I've interviewed folks in a homeless shelter, and, when I end the day, I went home and laid in bed and stared at the ceiling and cried. Like just the amount of, the amount they dumped out and poured onto us it was a lot to carry. And it was our job to continue and carry the story. But it's important that it was personal. It's important that I let myself be vulnerable and let myself feel those things, not carry them, but feel them.
Right.
That's important because it allows me to tell the story and connect with them. So we're doing a very personal thing anyway, where we are in a relationship. We love each other very much. And then what we do, we also love very much. And both of those things are pretty personal. Obviously, relationship is personal. But, I do think business is personal, especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you own your own thing. I mean, Calliope Films is like, that is my heart, my soul, my baby. That is like something I've created. If the day comes where Calliope Films no longer exists, it's going to be a hard day for me.
Okay.
I mean, because it may be kind of, it's a big part of who I am, my identity. And I'm comfortable enough to say that. I don't think that's an issue. I think it's okay for it to be personal. That doesn't mean, you wear everything on your sleeve all the time and whatever. And of course, I have to work on that all the time and not let my temper or my mood get the best of me because I'm so personally wrapped up in what I'm doing. But if I don't show up, ready to tell these stories or personally connected to what I'm doing, then I'm doing a disservice to what I do. But to answer your question, we handle it very carefully and gracefully. And even today, I was already critiquing our shoot yesterday and talking about what we could do better and all this stuff. And she's like, Chris, I need to just like take a day and think about it. We can just let me just have a day to pout and just, lay around and relax after a hard shoot like that. But I'm ready to immediately what can we do better? I need to recognize she needs a day to process. I'm not that way. I like to talk about it when it's fresh. She does not. So I apologize. I said, I'm sorry. I know you need time to process this, and I apologize. So let me rewind. Let's revisit this when you feel ready to talk about it. So it's things like that. This communication is so very important, and we still work on it, but we're getting pretty good at it.
With the statement that you just said, where business is personal, that is actually true. But those cop shows like Law and Order, okay? Law and Order, Chicago PD. You know how sometimes when the cop gets a really bad case and they take it home and they vent it out on their spouse, their husband, their wife, or whatever. How even with the thing that you said about communication, all of those things that you have said with your partner, how do you still make sure that beyond communication, what are some of the other steps that you take to make sure that even if you have the worst day on a set, what are some of the steps beyond communications and also understanding how they are as a person? 'Cause it sounds like she's more of someone, I think it's like I don't know, forgive me, I'm not a psychology, anxious attachment or something where their personality is defined by how they react to their situations. For her, she needed some space, but for you want to get into it right away. So what are some of the steps that you take beyond just communications to make sure that nothing that happens on set that is bad will always be taken out on your partner?
No, great question. I have two answers. So I actually, I'm in the market for a new therapist. If you know. So when I was in therapy, I talked about this actually, and it was more like, because when I do full day on set, I mean they're typically 12-hour days, and for me it's typically a 14 or 15-hour day because I'm always gonna I'll be there early, I'll be there late, just how it is, and I've accepted that's okay. But there is definitely a part of me when I get home, I'm like electric still. I don't. I can be tough to communicate with. I can be tough to talk to. I can be tough to be around. Okay. I can be it's tough. So one of the advice my therapist gave me was create buffer buffering zones. So in between activities, give yourself a buffer zone. Be alone for 15 to 30 minutes, whatever you need. So after like a long day on set, don't go right into a conversation with your spouse or talking to your, landlord about your rent issues or whatever the heck. Like don't get into another difficult conversation or any conversation. Give yourself buffering zones. But do this through everything in your life. So and I'm pretty good about this in my self-care in the mornings because I have my alone time. I give myself 3 hours of basically alone time in the mornings with my workout and my coffee and my walk. Very important to me. Like that routine is so important. But after the gym, I need a buffer, 15 to 30 minutes to reset, get back in.
Okay.
After a shoot day, you take a little buffer. If you have a really hard conversation or a meeting that didn't go the way you wanted, take a buffer, 15, 30 minutes, be alone.
Okay.
That was huge. And then Sierra and I are pretty good at taking turns being the hero for each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's apparent whenever one of us has had a hard day or had a hard time on set. So I know what she needs. I know what she likes. I know what's going to make her time better. And she knows what I need and what I like and what's going to make, my life a little better in those hard moments. So I think we do a good job of taking turns being the hero for each other.
Okay.
Even if we both had a hard day, if she had a harder day, I'll be like, all right, I got to put my stuff to the side right now. She needs me, and that's okay. And then she does the same. She'll know, it's apparent, who's had the harder day. Yesterday it was apparent she had the harder day. Whatever, brought her pizza on the couch, whatever. Made sure she had what she needs. Do a little extra steps. That kind of stuff. Because I want, I love that I get to work with my partner and, we're working on a director-DP relationship, so I want it to work out. And I want to make sure that we can be there for each other when it's needed.
So she's your Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy in this hero for each other? Which one is she?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I think it sounds like Gwen Stacy.
I was going to say Gwen Stacy, but I don't know. It's tough.
I'm about to grow you right now.
Do it.
Okay. How do you take that outside of the partnership? How do you take that to achieve your goal of helping other people? You said you wanted to create buffer zone. The reason why I bring that up in conjunction with how you want to help people, there are some people that when they need to learn, when you help them, sometimes they need to take a space, especially when given with a huge variety of information that is so helpful in the career. And then after that, you also said that you and Sierra show up as hero for each other. How are you doing that for the people that you're trying to help?
Good question. I mean, it's complicated. It's hard because I have a lot of people that reach out to me fairly often. And it's flattering. It's quite, how do you get in the business? I just had a call when I sat down. Are you hiring? Stuff like that. And it's just not really how this industry works, unfortunately, especially around here. But no, I mean, I think that the best thing that I do, I was working on a set a long time ago, and I was 2021. It was actually over in Fort Walton Beach, and the director made a fool out of me in front of the whole set.
What? Why?
I didn't know what a piece of gear was.
Okay.
And he sent me to the truck to get it, and I thought I could, obviously what you should do, if you don't know what something is, you should ask.
Right.
But on this set, I didn't feel comfortable to ask. He hadn't made me feel comfortable to ask questions.
Okay.
So I was scared to ask questions for that reason. So I go to the truck, and I'm looking for this thing. I don't know what it is. I think he asked for a floppy. At the time, I didn't know what he was talking about. So I go back to him, and I say, I'm sorry, I don't know what a floppy is. And he embarrassed me in front of the whole set, made an example out of me.
That's very toxic.
I agree. But it left a mark on me, and I was like, I never want to make anyone feel that way on my sets ever. I never want that ever. So, and also when I was trying to get started, nobody would make the time for me. I mean, I reached out to anyone and everyone I thought could help me. Get started. Nobody would talk to me. Nobody would grab coffee with me, nothing. So I said, if I ever get a tiny platform or any kind of space in this industry, I'm going to make time for you. So that's the biggest thing I do is if you reach out to me and like I told this young man who just called me today, call me tomorrow. I'm doing something right now.
Yeah.
Right here. Call me tomorrow.
Okay.
If he does, like, then we'll work. That's that's like my test. And I hate to say that I do this, but it's like I feel like if you can't do this step, then it's probably not a good fit for you. I say, follow up with me, reach out to me,
Right.
Set up a time with me, and then we'll grab coffee and talk. You'd be surprised that weeds out about 90% of people. Nobody follows up, and so when you don't,
Even after the first request.
well, yeah, they reach out. They'll see them in person. Typically,
Yeah.
I see someone in person, like, hey, I would love to talk to you about the industry or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
follow up. I'm on
Okay.
Facebook, Instagram. I'm really easy to find. I'm the only Chris Jadallah within 2,000 miles. You can find me. I send them my email, whatever they need. You'd be surprised how many people do not actually do that step.
What?
It's crazy. If you just follow up, guys. One of my first early clients, I tell this story all the time.
Yeah.
I emailed them once a month for 6 months to get a response, and they finally responded. Then I had to email them once again for another 3 or 4 months. Then I finally got a meeting with them, and they became one of my biggest clients.
Oh, so client communication is so important in this thing.
So important, yeah.
Guys, oh my gosh. Wow, so you take the time to do that on a consecutive basis to make sure that routine is always there. That's
Right.
that's a hard thing to do
Oh,
because I don't think a lot of people realize the importance of doing that. It's not like one of them is it's not a one-off job and you just move on. If you want to
totally.
build, it's exactly like we said. You have to reach out to them on a consistent
Keep going.
basis.
Let them, if they tell you to stop, then stop, But until then, don't. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So, go after it. That's the thing. Yeah, keep going. Do it. But no, that's the thing. I mean, so what I do is I try to create space for anyone who is willing to do that first step. Reach out to me.
Right.
Set up a meeting. I'll grab coffee with just about anyone. I probably grab coffee with somebody once or twice a week. Just to give them advice on what I think they should do next. That's it. It's just like my little part of paying it forward, I suppose.
The one thing that I want to circle back on is how that one director made a fool out of you. It goes back to the leadership style that somebody has that actually has a huge impact on the people that they lead. And for that director, it seemed like that kind of leader that he was a very toxic one. And I'm sure, I have no doubt that formulated the kind of leader that you would like to be. Especially in your company, and how do you say it again? Calliope?
Calliope. There's technically a bunch of correct ways to say it. I always say if you're saying it, then that's fine. You say it how you want, as long as you're saying it.
I have an excuse. I have hearing aids, okay? I have speech impediments, so
That's okay.
I'm
I'm half deaf, so it's all good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As of 2020, just went half deaf. Just turned off.
What?
Yeah. It's
Wait,
called
left or right?
my right ear.
Is that moderate or completely?
It's severe. It's like it says I have my little test hanging on my fridge.
Yeah.
It says severe to profound, and the numbers just doing this.
It's so. Wait, are you gonna get hearing aids or not?
So this year works great.
Okay.
So that's the issue. This one just shut off. Anna has tinnitus.
Out of nowhere?
Well, I woke up one day and it was gone. It's called sudden deafness. I don't know. They don't know what causes it. Whatever. I'm sure Drumline didn't help, but
I actually recommend Phonak. The one that's the one that I use. I recommend it. But going back to the leadership style, so that director, whoever you are, if you're watching this, I hope you're a better leader now. But with the leadership style, that it seems like after being exposed to that type of leader, it sounds like it shaped your view. You want to help people. You want to take the time to reach out to them, and especially being open enough to share your knowledge. That's a whole different type of leader that's in contrast to that person. What is something that you can define as a good leader for people that are wanting to become like that, especially in this film industry? When they're so surrounded by toxic people, it's just so hard to do that. You have to follow the hierarchy. If you can't do this, then you're not out. This and that.
Yeah. So I think I'll take this from the angle of being a leader on set is who? The director, typically.
Right.
So from a directing standpoint, there's an awesome documentary on YouTube. It's called, I think it's called Basically, it answers the question like, do you have to be a dick to be a director?
Yeah.
I think it's called like Dick Director or something. It's 30 minutes. If you type in like, do you have to be a dick to be a director on YouTube, you'll find it. 30 minutes long. It's very, very good.
Is this the guy with the gray hair, the white hair?
Yes. You've seen it then.
Yes, he's the one that did the Catch the Predators or something. He did a series of
God, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, he was doing it. He was helping, but yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But do go on. Yeah.
That guy. So he coined a term that I kind of, it was cool to put it into words. This is something I had adopted early on with Kitty Get a Job, our sketch comedy, which is a whole, other bag of worms. Like that's intense.
Yeah.
But basically, he coined the term disagreeable giver. He listened to somebody mention that. And what it means is, this is what I think being a good leader on set is, set has to be collaborative. Set has to feel like everyone is a part of it, because everyone is a part of it.
Right.
But you have to make them feel that way too. You can't just say it. So one of the most important things to me, and I start every set. I give a little speech before every set. We have a pre-production meeting. We gather in a circle.
Yeah.
And I say these things like every single time. I'd be ignorant to believe I have the best idea all the time. That's why I'm surrounding myself with you guys. So if you have an idea, please pull me aside and tell me. My only ask that you don't shout it across the set, because I believe in one voice to the crew, one voice to the director. That's really important to me. Because if you've ever worked, with talent on set, if they hear 4 different people saying 4 different things, they get confused, things get weird.
Yes.
Like, well, am I doing what he said? Am I doing what you said? It's like, well, now it's weird, right?
Right.
So no, one voice to the talent, one voice to the crew. But you want to give everyone a platform to speak and to have a voice, down to the PA. That's what I think.
Okay.
And the idea of a disagreeable giver is you should have, your vision so locked in. As a director, you should have a vision, and it should be so locked in on where you want to be. You should say no 95% of the time.
95% of the time.
But you listen to everyone.
Okay.
That's the key. And there's that 5% where the idea comes in, and it's like, you know what, that is a great idea. And I'm talking about like ideas like for creative.
Right.
Not like we should put the light stand over here. Most of the time, they're probably right. But when it comes down to your vision, like you should be so dialed in, and like it shouldn't come from a pretentious place or a place of ego, but a place of preparation.
Okay.
You have an idea and you have it dialed in so deep that it should be as close to infallible as possible. You shouldn't need more idea by the time you get to set. Now before then, fair game. Let's talk about it all day. Rip my idea to shreds. By the time we get to set, that can't happen. Set is so expensive. Being on set can be very expensive. We spend easily $25,000 a day being on set. So that's not the time to make idea changes. Sometimes it is. But you shouldn't be making big swings for the fences on set like that. Preparation, pre-production is the most important step in production. Coming in our next Calliope Corner video, we're talking about pre-production.
Oh, do you have a separate social for Calliope Corners, or is it?
I don't. It's all jumbled into one. And, it's our effort to try to give the algorithm what it wants. So.
Oh, you want to follow the algorithm? I believe that great content will get you there. Don't follow the algorithm.
Hey, look, it's working so far. So far, it's gotten great engagement. I've been very impressed. So we'll see if it keeps going.
If you guys want to look for more insights, look at it's currently on what? Films by Calliope?
That's my Instagram. Yeah, films by Calliope. And then I've started a TikTok now. All that stuff.
Do you feel happy with the type of leader that you are now, or are you still looking for improvement?
That's tough. I mean, I think there's a quick, short answer. My immediate answer was no. Okay. No, of course not. I mean, I think the gift and the curse with this industry is you're never good enough. You're never there. I've described it this way. I've had a couple of interns over the years.
Okay.
I think we've had 12 in the last 4 years. What happens in this industry, maybe this happens, I'm sure this happens elsewhere too, but what happens is you get better, okay? So you're doing this, right?
Yes.
So your status quo, what you deem as passable, also does this. So it creates this paradox that you're not getting any better because what you deem as passable and good is also rising at the same level that you're getting better at. So you're like, this sucks. I suck at this all the time. That's the creative thing. And then you go, no, we'll go pull up a video from 5 years ago.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, I have gotten better since then, right? But what happens is, you trick yourself into thinking you haven't gotten any better. So no, I think I'm happy with who I am, as a person, and I'm much happier than I was.
Okay, that's good.
As a leader, a few years ago. I feel like I'm a much better leader than I was, and that makes me happy. But I do feel like I have lots of room to grow, and find ways to be better at this, and a more efficient leader, a more patient leader. So that's a hard place to be. It's really easy to get frustrated on set. You're combining, manual labor with intense, thoughts and creativity. Of course, you're going to get frustrated. You're like maxing out your potential with your body. So like, for me, everything we do is very physical. Like I do a lot of Ronin 2 operation. It's part of why I'm in the gym 5 days a week, because
5 days.
I'm carrying heavy cameras. Well, yeah,
damn,
cameras are heavy.
Terminator. Oh, that's
cameras
like
are heavy, dude.
Well, actually, so with the leadership that you mentioned, are you familiar with the book by John Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership? It is a great book. The first law, it actually sounds similar to what you said, where the first law is law of the lid. It's basically where you're capping at. If you believe that's where you're at, that's going to stop. So that with that paradox, I just found that interesting, because that's the first time I've heard that concept that's outside of a book. So thank you so much for sharing that.
I haven't read the book.
So it is a good book
great.
then.
I got to read the book.
Whoa. Well then, okay, we're going to dive into as a leader now, how did you lead your life both as a creative person and as a business person into the formation of your company, Calliope Films? And also, what's the story behind that name?
Okay, I'll start with that.
Yes.
That's the easier answer.
Easier answer? Okay, fine. I'm going to find a harder answer.
Oh,
Give
no,
me a
I think.
second. Yeah.
So Calliope Films, and it sounds pretentious to me now, because every 19-year-old is pretentious, unfortunately.
What?
And I was a 19-year-old and pretentious. So when I was 19 years old, every 19-year-old filmmaker is pretentious.
Yeah.
I've not met a humble 19-year-old filmmaker. It doesn't exist. If you're out there, find me. For whatever reason, I was the same way. I was a little punk. I was so full of myself, ego bigger than this room, and I just thought I was the next whatever.
Right.
Anyway, but Calliope Films is Greek mythology. She's the muse of epic poetry in Greek mythology, and it translates to beautiful voice. So, in the most pretentious answer ever, we are the beautiful voice of epic poetry. Was where where I landed on. But I like the shape of the word. I love Greek mythology itself. That being said, I'm not like studied it deeply or anything. But I've always loved it, because the idea of assigning purpose or meaning to something before you understand it is very interesting to me. So they didn't know, what thunder was. They just said, oh, it's a god in the sky throwing stuff. Obviously, they didn't know. So they gave it a meaning. They gave it a purpose. They defined it. And that's what we do as filmmakers. We decide purpose. We give this thing purpose. That's, it can be anything. You watch short films about the strangest stuff, but they decided to give that story purpose, and that's what we do. So that's why I like that. And then the company started, who I am, the first question, the start of the company, or what was that question?
It was basically with the leadership style, now that you mentioned about the 9, how did you lead, how did you uphold to yourself as a leader during the earlier years of your company to where it is now?
I think the idea of who I am as a leader actually started, even as far back as high school. High school was incredibly formative for me. I think it is for a lot of people, but I think people have some weird shame behind that, or something like that. But no, high school was very, very important to me. It did a lot of things for me. I was in Drumline, and that was a huge, it was so important to me. It was such a huge. We took it very seriously. We went to Drumline World Championships.
Whoa.
All this stuff in Dayton, Ohio. It's it's like a whole hidden world. It's like Quidditch in Harry Potter.
Wait,
like you go
is it
there.
like a Nick Cannon, the Drumline movie?
Yes, or that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
We were much better than them though. Yeah, no, we were watching that movie and being like, "Oh, these guys suck." So that we learned a lot of discipline in that room, and also it is very much a film set. I mean, the collaborative nature of Drumline. I mean, literally the goal of being in a drumline is to sound like one drum. So I played the tenors, the 5 drums in front of you,
right,
and we got to sound like one drum. So you have to play exactly in time with each other while marching and moving, and then there's also a performance aspect of this. WGI is the name of it. WGI, the sport of the arts, is what they call it. So there's a show. It's almost like a little a theater element to it.
Right.
So you're performing, you're playing, trying to play perfectly, and you're marching around this mat. We would work on a 7-minute show for 6 months, and then go perform. Perform the 7 minutes and hopefully get to the world championships. We got 5th in the world.
Congratulations!
Thank you. In high school, but it was very formative for us because it was really I look back that was really freaking hard. What we were doing, it was so hard for a 17-year-old to be doing. I mean, gosh, that. But that, learning how to, and I was drum captain. Me and my buddy Mike McDonald were drum captains. So we had to lead this drum line and inspire this drum line. How do you get high schoolers to practice at home? How do you get folks to show up? And during indoor season, we think it was practices 4 days a week from 6 to 9 p.m.
Wow.
So for a high schooler, that's everything. So we were just, it was so busy. And then we also, played for every single football game, all that stuff. We were busy. But I think Drumline was pretty formative in my leadership style. It was just so challenging. And I think that unfortunately also kind of made me a weird perfectionist in different ways too. Not in every way. I'm by no means a perfectionist in every way, but in some ways I get real weird. And that's because of Drumline, I think, in those formative years.
Is it like Whiplash? Are you like
Whiplash?
Whiplash?
Whiplash is closer. That's a very dramatized version, obviously. But that is definitely closer. I had my freshman year at Drumline, I had my teacher, not a good leader, not a good at the time. He left after my freshman year.
Okay.
Sorry if you're listening to this. You were not a good leader. But no, I was on bass 3, which in the Drumline world, that's you're kind of one of the better bass players, but you're not the best. You're you're in the top 3, if you will. And he chanted because I couldn't play this part. And he chanted in front of the whole Drumline, "Chris is gonna lose his part. Chris is gonna lose his part." And then, of course, I got upset and started to cry and then couldn't play it, freshman in high school. And you know what? I lost the part right after that. He took it away in front of the whole drum line.
That is not a good leader.
That
Teachers
is
are
not.
supposed to inspire.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it was a very challenge for a freshman. It was very challenging. I had to start the show.
Right.
And dialing in tempo for a freshman is very difficult. I just couldn't do it. And it was a syncopated rhythm. Just difficult. Couldn't do it. So he took it apart. Now taunted me and then took it apart, took it away. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the heck that was about. But that was kind of like Whiplash.
Wow.
That intenseness it felt like Whiplash, and that feeling he made me feel was like what I saw.
But that should not have happened.
Oh no,
but
definitely.
I guess that's why you said it's a formative part of your years, and
it's my origin story.
Your villain origin story. And no pun intended, but to the beat of your own drum, beat of your own.
It's true, absolutely.
Now that you're marching into your film production company, to the rise against all these bad leaders, and also with your Gwen Stacy by your side, Sierra Hobbs.
That's right.
Founders. When you're the one that runs the whole company, it's your baby. You have this side of you where you have a hard time delegating or giving up that part of the company. So, since you are the founder, and now that you have Sierra as the co-founder in that dynamic, what were some of the things that you had to accept for yourself when it comes to finding the right co-founder to handle a part of something that you've built with blood and sweat and tears? What does the co-founder look like for you?
On the base level, it's someone I want to spend my time with.
Right.
It's someone that I like to be around. That's so important. But it's also someone who treats it like it's their own. You can't. I didn't want an employee. Someone who clocks in, clocks out, and then whatever. Like, doesn't matter as long as a paycheck shows up. They don't care. This industry is more than that, unfortunately. It drives folks crazy as well. Even when I'll be sitting at home on the couch and working on something on my phone, working on a social media video script or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that I expect her to be working 24/7 like me, but she treats it like her own, like it's her own. She cares. She understands it's our well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I wanted, someone who can treat it like it's their own and not just like a clock you're punching. And she does that very well.
We always want another version of ourselves, which is true.
Of course.
That is so damn painful. And then it's like you put this unrealistic expectation on somebody, and that's also the hardest thing. When you put such a high expectations of yourself with the company that you own, you put that on somebody else, and sometimes when they can't rise up to that occasion to meet your expectation, it just makes it all that harder to really believe that it makes you go back to this idea. You know what? I don't need them. I'll just do it. They'll never understand. So with Sierra and how you've been able to work together with this company, what is one thing that you would want people to always keep in mind? One, especially young people out there, because they get so naive and they're so passionate about something that they often forget that it's also important to whoever it is that you partner up with. They are literally someone that you sign up for a lifelong career. So what is something you would want to say out of everything you've experienced? What is one thing you want to say to that younger audience?
I would say, remember, it's all about people first. And also, especially when you're getting started, and still to this day, I struggle with this. Most likely, you're probably not being clear with your instructions.
Really?
Most likely, the hardest thing to do in this industry is communicate your vision.
Okay.
So what happened early on with me, and it still happens when I'm, on one of my little tantrums, is you're not being clear with your crew or with your partner on what you want. And then you get frustrated because they're not doing it. But you're not telling them what to do properly. You're not telling them your vision or not explaining what you're doing. So then you get frustrated because it's not happening how you want. But most likely, especially early in your career, you're not good at taking what's in here and communicating it to somebody else. Telling them exactly how to move the light or exactly where to go or exactly how you want this line delivered or where you want the blocking. Either you don't know, which is also pretty common, and when you're getting started, also fine. Just say you don't know. Admit it. That's okay. Or you don't know how to communicate the vision. Most likely it's that. It's really, really hard to communicate your vision. That's something I still struggle with to this day. How do you communicate what's in your mind to the people around you? So that's the thing. Remember that you're talking to people who have feelings and care, and most likely they're not there to sabotage you. They're there because they care too. Yes. So like every last time we talk about in Kitty Get a Job all the time, it's like, hey, look, everyone is here because they want the best product. They're sharing their opinion because they think their opinion is a good opinion to share at this time. They deserve to share that opinion. So like keep that in mind. And if they are there to sabotage the set, well then get them off. But most likely they are not if they chose to work with you. And then also be mindful that like they can't read your mind. You have to learn how to be clear with your direction, with what you want. That's huge.
Most people have their own way of communicating. What is the one that you've learned to realize the best way to communicate is through what? Through taking the time to talk one-on-one, especially with the crew, in terms of talk about your ideas as a one-on-one, or do you need some time for yourself and then you present it to everyone, or do you need someone with you throughout the process to know that if you mess up, at least they know that your vision, they understand everything. So what is the...
Yeah, on set it's so complicated because you kind of have to, you have to do all of those things. Yes. So I always set the stage with a pre-production meeting. That's so important to me. I greet everyone, welcome, thanking them for being there. I go through the whole day.
Yes.
I tell them what we're going to do. I try to tell them why we're doing it, at least at a base level. get everyone on the same page, again, down to the PA. Nobody should be in the dark about what's happening. Everyone's informed of what we're doing. And then, typically I do go like by department and check on everyone.
Okay.
And talk. Like, it's usually not typically one-on-one unless if I'm talking to my gaffer, I do want that to be one-on-one.
Yes.
But that's kind of where Sierra comes in. She's a wonderful, AD and producer. And, sometimes when I'm not being clear, which happens, whenever you're that guy, whenever you're in charge or that gal, like sometimes you're thinking about 10 different things and you're not being clear, or you're 3 steps ahead and you haven't told them steps 1 and 2. I constantly work on that, but having, Sierra help, translate my, insanity sometimes and help me like, all right, Chris, nobody knows what you're talking about because you haven't told them anything. Like, you're right. Thank you. So having her by my side definitely helps, communicate what I'm thinking and feeling better to those around me, which is great. Yeah.
If we take a step back and look at the whole industry as a whole, what you can see is mostly, it's a lot of like men. And then how did you help her navigate through the industry where it's just so much male energy, and sometimes it clashes, especially when they see the opposite sex to be on the set, they're not going to take them seriously. It's just unfair. It's just an unfair dynamic, and it should not be that way. It should be viewed in a sense, through the lens of, okay, can you do the job? That's great. Gender should not matter. But how with Sierra, how did you navigate her through that difficulties that can be found everywhere in this industry?
Totally. It's still bad. It's still not great for women in the industry, unfortunately, especially in leadership positions, especially around here.
Okay.
No, I guess I do my best to. She's a position of power on set, and I don't think on our sets, I don't feel like it's ever a question.
Okay.
Just because of the way, we don't even. It's not a thing. It's like, hey, she's the one in charge, so you either do what she says or you probably won't be working with us, kind of thing. And I hate to be that way, but that's just how this goes. If you have a problem with a woman telling you what to do on set, then that's not a good set for you, because she's going to tell you what to do, and she's right almost every time. But no, I think I do my best. I try to elevate her in every way that I can. I know she feels that tension from men on set. So I have a lot of pep talks, where they're like, getting her ready and like, hey, this guy's probably going to do this, this, and this because I know them and whatever. So it's like, you got to be ready for that. And I'm sorry that you have to deal with that, but just giving you the heads up. But no, I try my best to put her on a pedestal. Just as men are put on pedestals in the industry, we got this hotshot director coming in or whatever. And she is very, she is, the best producer I work with. She knows her shit, and she does it. She does it well. And she's a logistics queen. Like, she gets the job done.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it's like, you can't argue with results. So it doesn't matter what's between your legs. If she gets the job done, then she gets the job done. So I try to obviously, I'm not hiring her because, she's a woman or because she's my spouse. I'm hiring her because I think she's the best at the job. And I don't think there's any doubt in that when you work with us. She is not like, oh, it's just Chris's girlfriend, whatever. Like, no. She is very much in charge. She tells me what to do a lot of times. So I think it's the way we hold ourselves on set. There's no real question on, her legitimacy or her position on set as a woman. I think it's just taking away that stigma and taking away that it's even a thing. Like, we're not even going to focus on that. Like, no, of course she's qualified. What are you talking about? That's why she's here.
Sierra, we have never met in person, but based on what he just said, you are more than qualified.
That's right.
You're doing fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you spoke on that issue, because that's one of the topics that is not talked about. It has to be fixed.
Absolutely.
We're going to 2025, guys. We need to be better. The world's going to end soon.
We can do better, guys.
Yes. Be better by helping other people. Now, going through the stages of, we turned this, initially the company started out as something that we love. And now we're going through the stages of, oh gosh, I can make money off of this. I got this for $200. Wow! Yeah. How did you get to that phase? And now, how did you build your salesman mindset? Because a lot of the times, as creatives, I'm sorry to say, guys, but we're so shit at the business side. True. We really are. True. But with you, how did you craft that salesman mindset of approaching clients and getting projects to get you to be paid for what you're worth?
Just a long, patient process. But, I do have a degree in marketing, and I have a degree in film, and I have a minor in theater. So those things help. I say they help. They didn't really help, but they did teach me discipline. I'm not an advocate for college in this industry, even though I have 2 bachelor's degrees. Don't go to college. If you're trying to get into film, save yourself some time.
Agreed.
Just go get on set. Don't go to college. Don't.
Save the money.
Just go get on set.
Yes.
But no, actually, I got a sales job. My marketing professor said, you want to be good in business, get a sales job. So I did. I didn't know what I was doing. I picked one of the hardest ones. I just picked whatever I could find. I went on careerbuilder.com.
Yeah.
And, and picked a job. And it was credit card processing.
Oh God, that is a hard job.
It was so hard, so very hard. I mean, you're like the most hated guy in the room at all times, like right up there with like insurance salesmen. Like they don't want to talk to you ever. And
damn,
I cold called. I would go to businesses and cold call businesses. Just walk in the door, and say hello, and I would give them my little spiel that I practiced and rehearsed.
Yeah,
and ready to go. And it was so hard. I mean, it was literally. I went a year without making a sale. Yeah, but I didn't give up. I kept going because I wanted to beat this. Finally figured out my angle and started making sales. And the beauty for me was it created residual income. So every time I signed up a client, I would get like 0.02 cents on every swipe they did. So if a business did $100,000 a month in credit card sales, I was making a pretty good penny. And I eventually had 60 clients.
Okay.
That I'd worked at. So I worked up to 60 clients that I had sold to. So all 60 clients were generating residual income for me.
That is so, wow.
And then I was also working at the restaurant. I was a busboy at the Grand Marlin, which was definitely recommend working in the restaurant industry. If you get it out of the way when you're young, I think everyone should. Okay. So they learn how to respect those folks in the restaurant and just how to not be jerks.
And also tip them fairly. The restaurants don't do it all the time.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
So I was a busboy at the same time. And then eventually I got to the point where my residuals paid me enough. I didn't have to work at the restaurant.
It was that much?
Oh, yeah. I got it to the point. And I was making between... There was a lot of There was a lot of, what I'm looking for? It fluctuated a lot because it depended on what the businesses did. So I'm making anywhere from like $2,500 to $4,000 a month. Before I got out of bed.
I need to start doing this.
Hey, look, I'll start again, man. Yeah. I'll start again.
Okay.
I feel like I could do the heck out of it now. But so I got to the point where I didn't have to work at the restaurant anymore, and that allowed me. The plan that worked was to build up enough residuals to where I could do that and do filmmaking. And it worked. I got this monthly income that I had every month before I even got out of bed, which allowed me to then focus on video production. Then I bought my first camera on a credit card, the Canon 5D Mark III.
Oh wow, the one of the classics.
Yeah, and then I got started. So that was kind of the plan, and that's how it worked. But to answer your question, when it comes to sales, if I can sell credit card processing, I can sell anything. So I can sell a video now. That's the thing.
What about the emotion side of it, though?
Oh, I'm a very emotional boy, if it's not very clear. I'm an extremely emotional boy, so that's like, it's easy for me to get, I get very emotionally wrapped up in everything I'm doing. So yeah, that part, the storytelling part I've been working on since I was 4.
Okay.
I found my first, short film is a stretch, but I filmed a video when I was 4 years old with my brothers, and I got, our towels, clothes pinned around our necks, and we're superheroes or whatever. So I've been doing this for a long time, and I've always gravitated to storytelling and comedy sketches and that kind of thing. So the emotional part's not too difficult for me. I feel like I got for better or worse, I got to explore lots of pretty intense emotions pretty early on. So like I got to exercise those emotions really quickly, which I think has made me more vulnerable and able to kind of tap into those emotions when I need to. So,
but when it comes to sales, though, sometimes when we often find ourselves not getting the deal that we want, we let our emotions. Well, we had two options: we remain calm, or we let our emotions get the best of us. And sometimes when that happens, we lose the sale. So as you got bigger with Calliope Films, how did you maintain your composure when you started getting higher jobs that had a hell of a budget that you never thought you would get?
I treat it like kind of like acting auditions.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm an acting agent. I do some acting as well.
Is this because of the Kitty Get a Job?
I'm in the cast of Kitty Get a Job. So I was like, okay. I need to keep exercising my acting chops.
Okay.
I was in the sketch last night.
Make sure you follow Kitty Get a Job on Instagram, guys.
Check us out. We're funny
like
sometimes. Sometimes we're funny. Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of like that. Like you send in the proposal and then just like forget about it. You know, I follow up. 3 days later, but like,
okay,
leave it alone. Like don't count on it. That's the biggest thing. Is like don't count on a sale. Don't whatever they say. Don't count your chickens before they hatch or whatever. Very true. Like don't sit there and be like, oh, well, that one's in the bag. I still catch myself doing that.
Okay.
Don't. But also, I got with credit card processing, I got so used to rejection. I mean, 90% or more, 95% was no's in credit card processing. That was like the numbers. So for every, quite literally for like, for every, 100 cold calls I made, I was basically gonna make 2 or 3 sales.
Jeez.
Those were the numbers that they gave us. That was like they said if you do that, you're doing good.
Really?
Yeah, that's the numbers. Sales, and again, sales is a game of numbers. It's also a thing to keep in mind. It's a game of numbers. So like, go. If you can, and seek out those clients. Like, you should be sending a few proposals a month out at least, if not more. You can be doing a proposal 2 a week. You should be finding enough to do that. I say should. We've had dry months where we don't get a proposal for a whole month or 2. And that sucks, and that's terrible, but happens. Just forget about it. Like, send it out and forget about it. Don't count on anything until the paper is signed, until the contract is signed. Really, until the check is in your hand, don't count on anything. I've had contracts where everything was signed and I thought it was good to go, and then they back out. And then, what am I going to do? Sue this person because they signed a contract? Probably not, because it's not worth it at that point. Yeah. And then I'm going to be the production company that sues folks whenever they don't do what I want. And I don't want that image. I don't want to be in the news or in any circle of like, oh yeah, well, he sued us whenever we didn't want to do the video, because they won't tell you what happened. They'll be like, whatever. I was promised a TV show.
Okay.
We did a pilot for a TV show, and if it got picked up, they said they were going to hire us.
Okay.
Well, we did this pilot for a heavy discount, and then the show got picked up, and then they hired another crew to do it.
But not you.
Correct. All because I didn't have it in writing. I had a verbal. This guy was my friend. I thought. This guy was my friend, so I had a verbal contract with him.
No,
nothing
I'm
written.
So sorry to happen, bro.
I have so many stories like that. Get your contract signed. The show is Surviving Martelli's. Don't watch it.
I was going to say the original creator.
Yeah.
Give him credit.
Don't watch it. Those folks screwed us over. And that was the only time I was like, I talked to a lawyer. Yeah. I was like, because it was going to cost me about $100,000.
Oh my gosh.
That's what they were going to pay us. So that was the only time I was like, maybe I should get a lawyer. But it was like, I had it in an email. Mm-hmm. I probably could have pursued that, but it wasn't worth it. Chris, not worth it to us. I don't want to get my hands dirty like that. And those are folks we obviously don't want to work with.
Okay.
So it's also understanding that, like, that's not folks you want to surround yourself with. That's not people that are here to see you succeed or are going to treat you right. Like, I'm good. You guys can go make your show how you want. I don't want to be involved with someone who doesn't respect us like that.
Chris, we now have the utmost respect. That is. No, actually, we had respect. It's just this respect just increased, like what you said earlier. That actually, I'm so sorry that happened, but I'm sure it taught you so many lessons that you would now learn how to take with you going forward. But with that being said, as a person going through a lot of apparently hardships, Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry.
That's this industry, and one more thing I got to say.
Yes.
Make good contracts. Make them sign contracts. No matter, it doesn't matter if they're your friends.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's like, oh, it's my buddy, we're good. Don't. Get a good contract.
Yes.
If you need help with that, reach out to me. Even I'll help you out. Or getting a lawyer to make a contract. There's so many. Rocket Lawyer online. We use a program called PandaDoc, which is great. It has contracts built in. But read that contract. Make sure it has you protected. Unfortunately, and especially around here and in this industry, no one really knows how this industry works around here.
Yeah.
So you have to really protect yourself and protect. It wasn't even about me. I was more upset about the crew that I had promised this work to. Now doesn't have this work because of my negligence and their carelessness. So make good contracts, protect you and protect your crew.
Guys, you just got a great valuable insight. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and also follow his account.
Thanks.
I promise you, you're gonna get a lot of fountain of knowledge. The other thing I wanted to ask is this. So now that you've gone through that, I'm sure if I've described this, you're gonna say yes. That's the flashback sound.
Oh gosh, here we are.
19-year-old Chris.
Oh yeah, a little pretentious, arrogant,
egotistical,
little punk.
I'm gonna make one.
I'm gonna make movies.
Yes, like Michael Bay movies. Yeah. I'm assuming you took the typical traditional path of, okay, weddings. We all know weddings are brain dead. If you like weddings, good for you all. But I'm assuming the path that you took was weddings. And then you just were like, you know what, I'm done with that. There's no creativity into that. And then now you decide, you know what, screw all of this. I'm going to make my company, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And then now that you mentioned that you never want to surround yourself with the type of people, the clients that don't truly respect what you do for them.
Yeah.
With this company, how did you phase out those that don't really value for what you're asking for with the work that you're providing for them? Mm-hmm. How did you phase them out and then start bringing in higher value clients that truly do value everything that you do?
The way you find clients that you need to work with, unfortunately, the answer is sometimes you got to work with clients you don't want to work with because work gets slow and you need the money, and that's okay. No shame in that. But no, stay true to your rates as much as you can, and fight for those rates. It's not even just about you; it's about the industry as a whole. So when you compromise on rates, the whole industry suffers because now they know they can come to you and get these rates that are way cheaper than the standard rates.
Right.
Something we do even in Pensacola, we did a few years back. I talk about our buddies over at Lindsay Film. Our rates don't differ very much. They're my friends, they're our collaborators, and they're my competitors. But we're not. Our rates don't differ too much from each other because that's not what it's about. We don't want it to be a game of numbers. Like, well, we went with you because you were cheaper. That's not typically what we want. So it's, staying true to the rates and not being afraid to say no when it's not going to suit your needs. Look at your time. For us, it's easy now because we have overhead. So it's really easy to look at our time and be like, well, that is not a good use of our time. I have to hit a certain number to even hit zero every month.
Right.
So it's like, hey, I just can't come out there for $500. That's not going to work. I literally will lose money. Like the amount of money I'm paying myself every day, including what I pay my company every day to exist, is greater than what you're paying me. So that's like a really easy way to look at it. But no, staying true to your rates. Don't be afraid to say no. And don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Eventually it works. You will lose clients for sure that don't want to pay your higher rates. You lose them. But most of the time, those are clients you probably want to lose anyway. Just because it's always the clients that that whittle you down on the rate, and then you get the edit, and they are a nightmare to work with, and they're asking for 1,000 changes and all this stuff, and the project never ends. And
this is very tiring. But can you say, how happy are you with where you are now versus the younger you to be able to see that you will now have a job that you literally love and have this creativity to play with and also expanding that into kitty get a job. How do you feel? What is the one thing you could say to your younger self with where you are now?
I think younger me would be pretty hyped with me right now. I feel like, I still have lots to work on. I got all the things I got to work on to be the person I want to be.
Yeah.
But I think younger me would be pretty hyped. I didn't even know this would be an option until like high school, when I saw that this could even be a career. I was just making silly videos with my friends, and I think like anyone back in 2007, when I was in high school, was like I'm just gonna get famous on YouTube, easy, right? Someone's gonna discover me there. But no, of course not. So no, I think younger me would be pretty hyped that we get to point cameras for a living. I feel very, very lucky. When it's really hard, it gets really hard. Yeah, it's tough. Like even like last night, it was a shoot we did. It was a passion project shoot. Yes, and it beat me down. But like it's such a silly thing. I feel so lucky that I get to call this my life, even when it's so tough. Like man, I'm so glad I get to do this. What a cool thing.
One thing I love that you sent me a text was keep producing even when there are no clients. Yes. By the way, guys, contest we were in contact. Okay, prior to this, but I love what you said because when I got that text, I kid you not, I was in that room editing.
There you go.
Project, and when I saw the text, I had this prior to that. I was like, oh man, I really want to get this project that I really want to get paid for. What am I going to do around here? Then when you sent me the text, I kid you not, when you said keep producing, it almost is like it's an affirmation of everything that you've worked for is always going to lead to somewhere. Yes. Can you please expand that to these people?
Oh, it's so important. I think especially around here. I don't know anybody that has a fully booked calendar down here in the South. Doesn't exist, as far as I know. Okay. I have had spurts, like for instance, this year it was a joke. It was a running joke because I don't know. It was a crazy time. But it was like from April 15th to June 21st. Okay. I did not really have a day off. Wow. It was nuts. But I'm so thankful. Like, it was after such a dry spell. 2023 was so slow. So after such a dry spell of work, I said yes to so many things. And they were all cool. They were all fun, too. Yeah. I got to film in the Red Sea in Saudi Arabia. Got to see my family over there. All kinds of cool stuff. Shot a documentary in Miami and shot a short film, Smoke Breaks. I was... William. Yeah, for Will out there, Will Matlock. We shot a short film, Smoke Breaks. I was literally working on the shot list on the plane. What? To Saudi Arabia and back. I finished it on the plane. It was crazy.
Wait, how many hours was this flight?
The full travel time was the flight time was 26 hours, I think.
And you finished it in that time frame?
Well, I did work on some in the lounge. I worked on some in my hotel room. I worked on some before I left. I worked on it quite a lot. But when I sit down to do a shot list, I already have kind of all the shots in my head of where I want to go. But it was funny. One of the most impactful shots came to me while I was on the plane. Okay. I was like, I got to write that down immediately. So I pulled up and struggled to get the Wi-Fi so I could put it in my Google Doc and wrote it down. But yes, always be producing. Back to that. Sorry.
Sorry, we didn't mean to take a detour.
That's my bad. So it's one of the rules I set early in my career when I quickly discovered that I was not going to be booked all the time. You need to always be producing something if you're going to be in this field, especially down here. It's the trade-off, right? So it's a little easier to live down here for the most part, kind of cheaper, and after looking at the numbers, it's not much cheaper than New York anymore, sadly. But it's kind of cheaper to be here. It's easier to be here. So you don't, maybe hopefully your rent is not too expensive, that kind of thing. You can't afford to sit there and wait for the next project. Sometimes it can be months before you book another paid gig. Hopefully it's not, but it happens. Or it can be a couple, 6 weeks. Even in that amount of time, you can get a little rusty. If you're not constantly, sharpening your tools, it's like, that's why I go to the gym every day. It's like I'm trying to get stronger, trying to get better. You have to treat filmmaking the same way. You got to practice. You got to do it over and over and over. Get on as many sets as you can. And if you don't have any work to do, or like any paid work to do, go make something. Even for us, that was Kitty Get a Job. I started it over 10 years ago. We've met every Tuesday night for 10 years. And honestly, the stuff that I learned in Kitty Get a Job made me a way, way better filmmaker. Like the stuff we do in that room is so much harder than most of my client work. We try some really complicated. Even last night, we took this sketch that was two people talking in a room and made it so difficult. Like just trying all these different things. It's not like we sought out to make it difficult. We were trying to challenge ourselves and find new ways to do stuff. We brought a split diopter on set, which was super fun to use. So stuff like that takes a little time to mess with and tweak. We don't have to do that stuff, but we want to push it. Now I feel much more confident working with a split diopter, which is great. That's where you have two people in focus at once. For those who don't know, so you can put
have one close and then have one far away, but the depth of the field is not like blurring the other person. It's like they're all sharp within the frame.
Exactly.
Yes.
Very cool effect. Mike Flanagan does it the best. Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass. And Haunting of Bly Manor. Yes. Very good shows.
So it sounds like a lot of it is deliberate practice. Your film is a muscle that should never be atrophied, if that's the right past tense of that word. Yeah. There's actually one thing I wanted to ask.
Hit me.
When I did this career, I was so terrified of what my parents were going to say. Okay.
Oh yeah.
They're all doctors. I'm like, how do you value someone who's everybody's a doctor? They save lives, and it's something that I've gone through. But one of the things I've always had to struggle with was, will they accept me for who I wanted, for who I am, and what I want to do? And I'm so lucky that they've gotten to a point where they support me.
Of course.
Unfortunately, not a lot of kids, especially when they're in this time and age, it's a lot harder to do that, especially we have to pay everything. But for you, Chris, what was your family's perspective on the career choice that you've made? And how did you navigate through that?
My mom was always very, very supportive of it. I think it was more, she was concerned, I think, like anyone, to get into something like this that is a bit more risky.
Yeah.
But I think, and I hope, she saw that I was going about it in a pragmatic way, in a way that made sense. A lot of folks, I think the issue lies, if you want to do this and you want to do it for real, you have to treat it like it's real. You have to treat it like a job. So like if you're saying, I want to be a filmmaker, which I hear that all the time. People tell me that all the time. It's okay. So what are you doing to do that? Right. And the answer is typically, I got a script I've been working on for 4 years, and I shot something on my iPhone 6 years ago. I would say, no, what are you doing right now to do that? The answer is typically nothing. So if you're in that position and you want someone to take you seriously, you have to be disciplined. Show up and do the work. Whatever that is, there's YouTube is a fantastic resource. Get on YouTube, watch every lighting tutorial there. I literally, when I'm cooking dinner at the house, I am watching a tutorial of some kind.
Really?
Always. No, I have the masterclass subscription. I watch all the masterclasses. So I'm usually, when I'm cooking, I'm watching that. I watch lighting breakdowns constantly, even on stuff that I've done before. It doesn't matter. I will still watch a 3-point lighting setup just to see if they do it a little differently than I do. There's an awesome podcast called The Wandering DP, and he's also on. Oh, you know him?
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, he's the man.
The YouTube, yes.
Yeah,
great resource.
Check him out. I watch everything. I'm constantly trying to sharpen my tools, even though I do this, for a living. I still have so much to learn. So I might watch one video. Well, I've done all that before, but it was cool. But it doesn't matter. I'm still watching a professional talk about it, and there's always, almost every time, there's a nugget in there. It's oh, that is a great point. I'm gonna try that. That kind of thing. or like looking at new gear or whatever. So like, yeah, if you're trying to be, a writer per se, for film, what are you writing right now? Show me, like, that's the thing. So like, you just wake up and write every day. Wake up and work on something related to your career every day. If you're trying to build clients, wake up, email people every day. There are so many softwares you can do. Reach out to people. Like, that's the thing. It's not, you can't say that I want to be a filmmaker or that I want to get into this industry and then just poof, it happens. If you're not putting in the work, you got to put in the work, put in the time, make yourself a plan. Talk to people who have done it. Like I said, I'll talk to anyone and give them my 2 cents on, what I think should be done. I let people on my sets all the time. If you haven't been on a set before, we have to grab coffee first so I can vet you and make sure you're not going to come on my set. And
sabotage. You mentioned that earlier. We don't take saboteurs here.
We don't, no. So I also have to keep people on my set safe. So like, I let people on my sets. We talk. I want to help you get where you want to be. That's a big thing. But
you have a good heart. Please don't lose that, okay?
Oh, God, I'm trying.
Please don't.
I'm very tired.
Be Kevin Feige. Be Kevin Feige.
I'll always keep fighting the good fight. It's part of who I am, fight the good fight. So it's like, if you want to, it's like someone who's training to run a marathon, and then you're just like, are you running every day? It's like, nah, I'm just going
to. You have to keep training.
Right. So it's silly. It's like, everyone else has a 9 to 5. This has to be your 9 to 5. And I treat it that way. I wake up and I work every day. Like, even if I have nothing to do, like tomorrow, for instance, I have like a weirdly free day. So I'm going to work on social media content. I'm going to write some scripts for my next videos. I'm working on a script, actually.
Oh.
So I'm going to try to work on that.
Yes.
I'm going to find some, again, it's all about feeding the marketing funnel.
Okay.
One of the things we're working on is posting more frames of my work. I'm terrible at that. So I'm going to sift through some frames of mine and post them. I think posting frames is pointless, but I'm going to do it because apparently the algorithm might like it. Who am I posting them for? Am I posting them for my peers? Am I posting them for my clients? Do my clients care about seeing frames? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I'm going to try. Post more frames.
But I think I think we can acknowledge the fact that you're even doing that. It's still some form of sharing knowledge.
Right.
So that's you're contributing to the overall fight of make sure that the little guys get a chance to get to where they see where you're at. They get to have the chance to get to where they want to be in your level. Now, guys, I'm sorry to do this to you. I hate it every single time. I'm really sorry. But I have to cut this interview soon.
That's okay.
The time is not unlimited. I'm sorry. And unfortunately, Chris has a busy working life, and we have to let him go soon. But we will bring him on for the next episode. Will you agree to that?
Absolutely. I would love to come back.
There you go. So don't complain. Don't send me hate comments in the YouTube where you say, "Why didn't you have him long?" Don't do that. Now, where can people find you?
Yeah. So we are on. Look for Calliope Films. We're on, Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok. Check out Kitty Get a Job sketch comedy. We didn't touch on that too much, but Kitty Get a Job, we do sketch comedy. We are currently working on our pilot to try and sell the show.
Ooh, okay.
We have Kevin McDonald involved from the Kids in the Hall sketch comedy show.
That's a famous guy.
We got a famous guy. How? Yeah, he's a famous guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll save that. What?
Sorry,
I got it. Why did you drop up?
Sorry.
No, that's good.
He's in one of our sketches. We're going to do a local premiere soon.
What?
He's helping us write, and he's in one of our sketches. He's come on board.
Dude, what the fuck?
Very cool. It's very exciting. So
that's not just cool. That's fucking astonishing.
Thank you. We got lucky and lots of hard work and lots of luck combined. So.
What the fuck? You have to drop. You know what? That's a tease. See.
I'll be back.
Second episode is coming soon. Now, the last question I have for you is this.
Hit me.
There's 3. What's next for you as a person, Chris? Mm-hmm. And then what's next for Calliope Films? And then what's next for everything else that you want to mention?
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry.
No, it's a great question. I think for me personally, it's we're working on some big things. Currently trying to. That's kind of a Calliope answer. For me personally, it's always just working on how to be a better person, how to be the person I want to be. So constant, really constant self-work there, and just trying to keep myself healthy physically and mentally, because set is demanding, and I want to make sure I'm there for the people I need to be. So for some reason I feel like it is, I have some responsibilities to uphold, not only personally for me, but the people around me. So I feel compelled to stay in the right mind to make it happen. For Calliope Films, we are in the middle of doing a bunch of different expansion kind of deals. Expanding into the great city of Mobile, Alabama, getting into the feature film world over there.
He's going to take over United States, guys.
And then we're also expanding to New York.
Whoa!
We're going to be, nothing is changing in Pensacola or in the Southeast.
You're leaving us?
No.
You're going to leave us with daddy issues now?
No. Listen. We'll be back and forth. Nothing is changing.
Why New York? There's LA, ATL, but why New York?
So I have direct connections up there that help me get work. And also I really like New York. It's fun. It's always been part of the dream to be up there at some point. But I'll be back. I'm going to be where the work is. Most of the things I do for Calliope I can do remotely. And then I'll be back and forth. I mean, I think in the beginning I'll probably be in Pensacola 3 weeks a month, and in New York 1 week a month. Just depends on the jobs that I'm booking. Just expanding ourselves. An idea is to one get better at what we do. We work with varying people with different experiences that can teach us how to be better. And then I want to build a bridge from New York to Pensacola. I'm calling it a bridge of opportunity. Is what I call it.
And you're going to have your own Statue of Liberty along with the statue of something.
Yeah, well, I think I can bring some work here from there and vice versa. So that's the thing. I think that's what I want to try to do. They keep sending DPs here from Brooklyn and directors here from Brooklyn, and I'm like, we have that here already. We don't need that. So just trying to bridge that gap a little bit. And then and then everything else, man, it's just out here, gonna stay grinding, gonna stay in the gym, gonna stay as healthy as I can, keep my mind right, and then hopefully maintain as much gratitude with the process, understand how lucky we are to do what we do, and then support as many people as I can. The only thing I say, anytime I platform, I always say this: hey, go support your creative friends and your artists around you. If they're having a show, just go. All right, I know you're probably tired. It's a Wednesday night. Why are they doing punk shows on a Wednesday night? I don't know. Go.
Do it.
Go to your friend's art gallery. Go to your friend's improv show or theater show, whatever. Go. That is the only way arts can grow, is if you show up and show people that there's a demand for it. If you don't go, then it doesn't exist. Art exists, and what we do exists because people choose to go. If you're a filmmaker, people buy tickets to go see those movies, right? If they don't buy those tickets, then it doesn't happen. So it's the same deal in a smaller scale. Go buy those tickets, go to those shows, support your friends. That's how it works. Just show up,
The same way you show up for your clients every 3 to 6 months. Hello, it's Chris. You want to talk over coffee again?
There you go. It'll probably be fun too.
And then the last thing is, what is the one thing at your deathbed? I don't mean to go morbid here, guys.
Oh, God.
But what is the one thing that will definitely get you to say, you know what? I finally feel like I've made the most out of my life. What is the one moment / event that will finally make you feel like you didn't what you were supposed to be, what you're supposed to do on this earth at the end of your life?
I hope I can find the success that I want and find, the projects I want to work on, while at the same time making sure the people around me know how much I love and care for them. I hope I want to do both. If a lot of times it's hard to do both.
Yeah.
But my goal is to, when I'm laying there knowing, hey, I did all the things I wanted to do, and everyone around me knows how much I appreciate them, and I made them feel special, and I made them feel like they were special to me. That's really important to me. I cringe at, any time I'd ever snapped at someone or said something I should not have or whatever. And I really hope I can lay there and that, hey, you know what? You did okay by folks, and you did some cool stuff too. But most importantly, people around you are glad you are around and glad that you were part of their lives.
And I'm sure they can say the same for you, even if you don't hear it. But I'm going to steal this bit from Spider-Man. You know, that Green Goblin said, ha 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 ha, you can't have it all, Spider-Man. Peter.
Brought it back. Full circle.
What?
Full circle moment. That was good from
Now,
Uncle Ben.
guys, thank you so much. Chris, thank you so much for driving all the way here. Seriously.
Of course. So sorry I was late.
No. Film production, context, guys. Film production is very unpredictable. And therefore, if you still show up, like what he just said, show up, you're fine.
Show up.
Thank you so much for making the time here. And guys, as always, I'm not going to say my social. And it's already episode 15. It's in the description, okay? You already know. Thank you so much for watching. You can like and subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Not doing the YouTuber thing. It's too cringy. You know what to do. Thank you so much for watching. And stay tuned for the next episode with Chris. And this next guest that I have coming up. Oh my God, you guys are going to love it. Bye-bye and cut.